Welcome to the Sales Dojo podcast. The podcasts are here to help you address the real issues salespeople face every single day.
Welcome to the Sales Dojo podcast. Podcast is here to help real salespeople with real sales issues you face every single day. We're going to try and help you close more sales, hit more targets, get paid more commission, and buy those new shoes. My name's Leon McCowan.
Morning, Leon. I'm Chris Still.
Hi, Chris Still. And Chris, today we're joined by Brandon Willington. Brandon, how are you?
Terrific. Thank you for having me.
Good stuff. Now, Brandon's the owner and director of Where You ? And I'm intrigued. Tell us a little bit more about Where You.
Yeah, so just the name or?
Yeah. Tell us about the business. Tell us what you do. How can people contact you if they want to find out more after they've listened to
Yeah, sure. So what we do is we help service-based business owners ditch their done-for-you agencies and freelancers, which typically just get them vanity metrics, but they just want actual leads that are qualified. And I'm a strong proponent of the idea that the business owner will always be the best marketer because they speak to their customer the most, especially in the early stages when you're doing all the sales. And all you really got to do is get over that mental hurdle of like logging into Ads Manager for the first time, looking at the interface and going, fuck that. You just got to get over that, learn which button to click to get in front of the right person. And if the business owner knows what's in an ad agency's head, but with what their understanding of the customer avatar is, they'll fucking beat them every single time.
And if people want to find you, Brandon, best place to find you, connect?
Just go to whereyou.com.au. Where you spelt like a drunk text message, just where and then the letter U. You know, when you're trying to find your mate in a nightclub and you text them just like that.
I think we can all certainly relate to that. We've all done that a few times, although maybe not in a nightclub, maybe in a city somewhere, because generally we don't tend to hang around in the same nightclubs. Everyone disappears into different ones. Brandon, first question we ask everyone when they come on the podcast is the same. Can you remember the first time you closed a sale? Talk us through it. And the first time you got us, what did you spend it on?
Yeah, so I was excited for this question. Back in 2017, long story short, I had this mixtape go viral when I was a DJ. So I started a course online on like how to promote yourself and market yourself as a DJ and a producer. And me and my mate were like selling. This is like peak ClickFunnels, like 2017. Remember those eras? And like everyone had a fucking webinar, their perfect webinar stack and all that shit. And we were like so green to this stuff, hey. And we were just like reading all the books and the offer stack and blah blah blah. It's valued at this, but you pay this, all this shit. And we were trying to follow the perfect webinar pitch, like to a T. And it was like me and my mate Jackson, we're business partners again now for a different offer. And he was at his house, I was at my house, and I was doing the pitch. And I didn't realize that I was so nervous that I kept like slamming my fist on the table. And he's like, I had my phone on Do Not Disturb. And he's messaging me. He's like, stop slamming your fist on the table. Like everyone can hear it. Your webcam's shaking. We got a couple deals out of it. I think we made like $2,000. And our favorite, we'd do this webinar every now and then. And our favorite day, my favorite day of the week anyway, I can't speak for Jackson, but my favorite day of the week was Tuesdays. Because I'd drive to Jackson's house, pick him up. We'd go to the bank and we'd take every fucking penny out of the bank account just in cash. We weren't paying taxes, we weren't paying superannuation, none of this stuff. I think we nearly went bankrupt on a fortnightly basis, hey? Just by the ClickFunnels subscription rolling over. And so we had went to the bank because we were both in the bank account, so we both had to go take the money out. And then we're like, oh, how much is in there? They're like, let's say $2,000. I can't remember what it was. $2,000. We go, all right, we'll take $1,950 out. We took $1,950 out in cash, just split it up amongst each other. You take half, I'll take half, dropped him home. And I still remember, do you know the song Hate to Say I Told You So by The Hives? That's my, if I ever hear that, I remember my first sale. Because I was just driving in my car, like leaving Jackson's house. I had nearly $1,000 in my pocket for the first time ever at age 21 or whatever I was. And then I think I I think the first thing I bought, I bought like an expensive pair of jeans first. And then I got off the bus, which is just, the bus stops just outside there. So I was still catching the bus. But I was walking back and I saw it's closed now. There was a gym just across the road and I had $400 left. And I was like, oh, I'll go into the gym and I'll sign up for the gym. And so I walked in, which I don't know, I'm pretty sure it's pretty uncommon in gyms for there just to be a walk-in. So I walked in like a fucking unicorn, apparently. And I was like, hey, I want to sign up. And they like looked at me like, what the fuck? Who's this person? Walked in, and then they tried to walk me through their sales process as well. And then it was like I think it was a boot camp, right? It was a boot camp. And it was a 12-week boot camp. I was like, how much is it? They're like $400. I'm like, oh, perfect. I got $400 right here. And then they trying to walk me through their sales process. I'm like, no, like I want to buy it now. You don't need to convince me. I just had to get rid of this money and go back to being broke again. Anyway, I went to one of the sessions and I was like, well, that was fucking exhausting. And I never went again. And the funniest thing was I could literally hear them from my balcony, their music playing, because it was just across the road. And so they would text me like, hey, when are you coming in? And there's just the gym literally across the road. I went once. I was like, fuck that. Never going again.
I think we can all relate to that, thinking the gym was a good idea until you had to move some weight around and do some cardio and stuff.
Yeah, it was really uncomfortable.
I want to skip past your advice for small business owner startups about taxation and superannuation for that, and we'll try and move past that. I'm really interested in two things that you said, which are actually really quite linked. One was that you were doing these webinars where you had your process of what you wanted to do, and the second one was that this gym, even though you were ready to give them the cash, they were still trying to follow the sales process. Yeah. How often do you see that with businesses, and how have you changed what you do now in terms of being different for every person that comes to you?
Yeah, 100%. Like I don't think that I'm a sales guru at all. I'm very much a student of lots of different people. And Peter Lakovich has been one of my sales mentors here in Australia for a very long time, since 2018. And he always really hammered into me, Brandon, every single lead you've got to treat differently. How you speak to someone that comes from a referral from a happy customer. They already know the price. They already know they want it. They've already talked themselves into it. And so at that point in time, you're essentially a checkout page and you still don't fucking close 100%, right? But how you speak to someone that just saw you on Instagram that morning and now you're on a discovery session with them that afternoon, they're completely different. The first person's like an 8 or a 9 on the buyer readiness scale. They don't need to be given the whole pitch. Whereas this person that just comes through from, an Instagram ad and they've had 6 hours to learn about you, they're like a 3 or a 4. You've got to treat them very differently. The other thing as well, just as a supplement to sales, is usually what happens is you have the marketing department and the sales department, right? The marketing department says the sales team can't sell. Sales team says the leads are shit. So if they actually just communicate, everyone can win, because I won't spend too much time on this. My bone to pick with marketing departments and sales departments, I mean, you might disagree, is they're both measured by revenue. However, the sales team's incentive, if they were in the marketing team's incentive, would actually be to bump cost per lead up a little bit, because typically you get what you pay for when it's cost per lead. But the marketing department's incentive is to get cost per lead down as much as possible, which is to the detriment of lead quality, right? So if you just put them in the same room and go, you're both responsible for putting revenue up, I don't give a fuck about what the cost per lead is. Like at my agency, we just have a growth department. We don't have a marketing department. We don't have a sales department. It's just growth. You're both responsible for making revenue go up, right? And when the marketing team can actually speak to the sales team and go, what are the objections you're getting? So rather than having to handle them on the call, we can at least minimize or prevent them coming up in the marketing process for the nurture sequences and the content. Even just the first line of the meta ads is very impactful. And so that's really what I'm trying to do is marry marketing and sales rather than them just being awkward fucking cousins that never speak to each other.
I love the idea of the communication between the two teams, Brandon, is they're so often in different rooms at different ends of an office building, and called the colouring in team and the other gets called a bunch of wankers. Whereas, they're all in revenue growth. Where do you see... So it's an interesting thing I have, and I'm about to really piss off a lot of people that I do work with now, I would imagine. quite often I will chat at networking events or just in business in general with small to medium marketing agencies who say, I think we need some help, Chris. We're just not getting any business in. And my immediate reply is, have you thought of marketing yourself? Like, because their whole sales
You're sort of telling people about what you do.
Yeah, their whole sales premise is we're going to generate your business, but they never seem to be able to do it for themselves. And
that's exactly the point. Oh my god, yeah, you're hitting a point that I agree with 100% wholeheartedly. So I spoke about this on a webinar once, and I was just talking about how, like, because I had to turn it down. My favorite thing to spend money on is ads, and I had to fucking turn it down from $4,500 a day to $2,500 the other day because we were booked out. Pissed me off. And then I was doing a webinar and I was speaking to, I think, 300, maybe 400 people, and I said, "Who's got an agency right now?" And they said, "Yeah, me." Like, a bunch of people said, "Yes, yes, 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 yes." They go, well, how'd you get in contact with them? They're like, "Oh, I got referred by someone," or like, whatever. I go, "Do they run ads?" They go, "No." I'm like, that's a bit weird, isn't it? Wouldn't they be incentivized to? They're telling you, like, "Hey, spend money with us on ads to grow your business," but I'm not going to spend my own money on my own business to grow. It's suspicious, isn't it?
I had
emails
off organisations saying we're the greatest cold calling company in the world. Give us your data, we'll phone it up, we'll get you loads of business. They never phone me up. They email me about it, and I'm like,
it's like I had someone else comment on one of my ads. Usually, what I do when I'm bored is I just argue with people in the comments of my ads. There's plenty of them, so I'm never bored. They were like, "Oh, well, if your offer's so good, like, why do you need to run ads?" I'm like, wouldn't it be fucking weird if I was teaching other people how to run ads and I didn't spend more on ads than them? It was like, "Oh yeah, you got referred by some, but I don't spend my own money." My fucking favorite thing to spend money on is ads.
Sorry, that was my bad that I couldn't find the unmute button there for a second. I want to talk a little bit about your jeans in the gym. So the jeans, first of all, what were they? What make were they? How did they look? Were they boot cut? Were they slim fit? What were they?
I think they were slim fit. I was much skinnier back then. They were shiny too.
Like jegging.
It's like jeggings. Nah, they were I think they were just some overly priced skinny black ripped jeans.
I like it. And the gym, have you been back since that short period, or have you just given up on it altogether after that one session?
No, I'm actually I'm building my own bat cave with a gym in it in like 3 weeks' time with the money from the business growing and stuff like that. I got a quote for I do like wrestling and MMA and shit like that. I don't know if I'm gonna get sued by DC Comics, but we're putting the Dark Knight logo like 4 meters wide on the wrestling mats. Can't wait for them to see that in a YouTube video and get fucking sued by the wrath of DC Comics.
If DC's listening, like, so we know that. On that line as well, I want to go back even further. You mentioned the hives. You hear a song that reminds you of a sale, and I think the whole series of podcasts in this itself, like Death Island discs, but for salespeople. Because it was making me think, Brandon, back in the day, you can't sell it now because I'm a bald, fat, middle-aged man, but I ran a chain of clothes shops that did all like skater gear and big bag of hoodies and everything. It was a really cool place. We had DJs in the window on a Saturday, and it was all sales based. Like, if you walked in our shop, you weren't leaving without buying bags full of clothes. Like, and we all got commission. And I remember somebody coming in, I'm just browsing your standard whatever, and half an hour later they'd had a cup of tea and they walked out 350 quid worse off with bags full of clothes. And if I ever hear the first Leo and Bushwhacker album, that immediately takes me back to working in this clothes shop.
Yeah.
I remember a reverse sale. I remember being made redundant, leaving a big corporate role. And if I ever hear funeral for a friend, I'm immediately back where I was when that went off. And I'm wondering out there, sales or marketing, business owners, entrepreneurs in general, are the tunes that immediately bring back a certain, because we all talk about, I remember this relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe we're too geeky about this, but I wonder,
it's sensory anchoring,
right in. Yeah, if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, what tune brings you back immediately to a certain thing that happened in your business? Like, other than the heart, Brandon? Are there any other tunes that make you go?
Yeah, I remember it was.
Then, you know?
Yeah, before the webinar, this is back 2017. Before the webinars, it was Welcome to the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. So if I heard I think it's middle F on the piano, because I linked that to I can see the IGA across the deli across the road. I would get this like caffeinated protein shake before the webinars to try and hype myself up and like listen to this song. So yeah, My Chemical Welcome to the Black Parade reminds me of doing perfect webinar pitches or imperfect perfect webinar pitches back in 2017.
Brandon, are you still doing webinars?
Yeah, they came out they were in fashion 2017, 2018, right? And then like everything like fashion, I suppose, comes and goes in waves. And then lead magnet funnels came in. Webinars are starting to kick off in the US again for sure. They're starting to pick up again here in Australia. So I'm pretty early to it in 2025. But yeah, I'm doing webinars again now. They're good fun. Like I'll get what was my first? I think the webinars I did in February and March, I spent 25K on ads. We had a 30% show rate, which is really good for a free webinar because usually the show rate's like 10, 15%. And then I think we closed, I think it was 10% off the back of that. And so the 25K turned into 135K at the end of it.
Nice. Maybe we can get you on to have a chat about that for some of our listeners who are getting into webinars again at some point in the future. Brandon, we touched a little bit on your business there, so I want to find out some more about it now. So tell us all about what you do right now, and maybe give us an example of how you've helped someone recently, a client, so someone who's listening can relate and maybe drop you a line.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you a sales example as well. So what we do is we teach the 3 C's. So if you want to grow online as a service-based business with paid ads, you just need 3 things. Ads that get clicked by the right person, landing pages that actually convert them into a qualified lead, not just fucking spammy contact details your SEO agency probably got for you or something like that. And then conversations that actually close and like land money in the bank, right? So what we do is like most of the businesses that have been with us have been burnt by an agency in the past and it took them 2 months to onboard them. They go, oh, we need like 2 financial quarters to exit the learning phase. Like, no, you fucking don't. So we just sit down with them for 2 days. We just build everything out with them. We build the meta ads, Google ads, build the landing pages, nurture sequences. We give them some, sales principles that they can use for, cold leads from ads because typically they're coming from relying on word of mouth. And like I said, the conversations are very different. I'll give a perfect example actually, because one of the things that I talk about at the end of day 2 when we talk about sales is how usually the business owner, because they know so much, they're typically pretty bad at sales from the get-go because they know too much of the features. They overwhelm the prospect a lot with how much they know. And then you get I've got to think about it. And then you go, well, what do you have to think about? And they don't really know how to articulate their question. They just feel confused. Yeah, perfect example. So I had a voice coach in the program and I looked at some of her sales calls and she had such, the Huberman Lab podcast?
Yeah, I've heard of him, yeah.
Yeah. It's like a fucking 3-hour long podcast about neuroscience. And she knew so much about the voice that a prospect on the call would simply say, I and ah in team meetings at work sometimes. And she would go into like this Huberman Lab-esque fucking rant about exactly why and how that happened in her brain. And then the person would like nod and go, oh yeah, but they wouldn't buy because they were just overwhelmed. And what's the saying? You might know it. It's a confused mind doesn't buy, something to that effect.
No, I've not heard it, but I'll have a look.
Yeah. And I told her, I'm like, you're showing how much of an expert you are, but you're really just overwhelming them. I was like, just stop doing that and just ask the next question. And she was texting me back like the next couple of days. She's like, I can't believe how impactful it was, the implementing the just shut up and listen thing. It reminded me of my sales manager, Tim, when he was my first sales rep 2.5 years ago. And he came from car sales. And I messaged him because we've been mates for a couple of years already. And I messaged him on Facebook. I went, you have an advantage over me because consulting isn't an option for you. You don't fucking know anything about digital advertising. You just had to be a therapist. It's your only option. And he beat me in his first week. But then his second week, right? He sat in a couple of team meetings and his close rate dropped off. and I listened to his sales call recordings, and I went, "Oh, you fucking you learnt shit, and you tried to put it in the sales press." I was like, "You're not allowed in team meetings anymore. Cut that shit out." And then he went back up again. And so it goes to show, like, more often than not, and obviously there's some B2B exceptions, and I'm making a broad brush statement here. But typically, because the business owner just knows so much because they have such a level of expertise, they can overwhelm the prospect and just confuse them out of buying.
It really stands out in certain industries as well, doesn't it, Brandon? Like a lot of the tech industries that are working when they give a demo.
Yeah.
And they're like, right, we've got 18,500 features. And we're going to start at number 1. Get yourself comfy because I'm going to
buckle up.
Yeah. And you're so right. We see a lot of small businesses start because somebody's really passionate about something, which is brilliant, but not necessarily a good reason to make it your income stream.
Yeah.
And they talk with such level of passion about it, which is great, but that turns into such level of detail. And most people's buying strategy is it big? Is it shiny? Will it impress my friends? Right.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Do I trust it does what you've said it's going to do? I'll write you a check. Like you were saying with the gym. Yeah. I'm sold. I'm like, crap, take my money. And like most other gym goers, you're going to take my money and then never see me again. Interesting what you said, though, about, and then he went and learned some stuff.
Yeah.
And it ruined him.
And fuck it up.
Leon, you will have seen this as well on the phone side of things. We'd have people join and they'd go into a team of 20 and they'd stay in an incubator bit for a time and they'd just cane it because they didn't really know much about the product. They were full of beans because they just started a new job and they wanted to impress, and they smashed it. Then they went and joined the wider team as, this person's smashing it, and they just steadily declined. And you'd listen, and what they were doing after 4 weeks was totally different to what they were doing in week 1 because they've heard, Jimmy Big Balls over there, the top hitter, says this, so I'm going to say that, and I'm going to do this. And they wildly overcomplicated everything.
Yep.
And without going to 80s Hollywood movie, I'm trying to think of the name, but Glengarry Glen Ross on it. Keep it simple, stupid. Just rip it all back.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I was talking about this with someone else, like just the other day, where typically what will happen is like you're doing well in sales, but then you're always trying to find like, I'll change this, I'll tweak this. And then you make these 1% kind of changes. And then over the course of 30 days, what you're saying at the end of the month is fucking completely different at the start. And like, why isn't it working anymore? It's like, just go back to that. So usually what happens is if I have a sales rep and their close rate has changed, or it's gone down, obviously, I'll just say, hey, go find when were you last hot, like 35, 40%, whatever. Just go watch those call recordings and just tell me what you're doing differently. Like, it's fucking completely different now. I was talking to one of we've got this 21-year-old kid called Jake, and he's fucking ripping. He's closing like, I think like right now, month to date, like 67% or something like that. And the team average is like 40%. And I was messaging him on Slack. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing differently? And he's like, I just try to copy Tim as much as I can, like to a fucking T. Like just follow the same process over and over and over and over again. I have this saying that like I have 2 words when I look for sales reps: athletic nerds. So what I've found in my experience anyway, all my best performing sales reps have always done some kind of fitness thing. Like Tiffany, she used to be a competitive bodybuilder. Melville does Muay Thai. Tim, the only fucking thing he does besides sell stuff is go to the gym. Jake used to be a gym rat. And then the nerd bit is just following a process to a fucking T. But then also like in their everyday lives as well. Like I don't want a sales rep that, like in the past I've had sales reps that like went out on the weekend party. There were too like fluctuations were just too wild. Tim is like, I always laugh about Tim because Tim, his fucking big weekends are every second weekend, because not only does he do a load of laundry, he also washes his car. That's a fucking big weekend for Tim. He just does the same thing. All he does is just the same sales script. I posted a meme for his birthday where, have you seen the Joe Rogan meme where it's like 100 Joe Rogans at once and all at the same time they go, it's entirely possible. Like it synchronizes all together. Have you seen that one? Yeah. It's like that, but the intro of his call, which is just like, so just give me a bit of a rundown of your situation, why you reached out, but just 100 of them at the same time.
Hilarious. It sounds like you've got a really good team there, actually, to be fair.
Yeah.
And it's giving me a bit of FOMO about when I used to run teams of salespeople. I think I need to get some more people together for a bit of a run.
Yeah.
Brandon, you mentioned that you're going back into doing webinars and they were coming hot again. So I wondered if you could think about maybe in the next 5 years, what do you think is going to change in sales and selling or in business?
Yeah, I'll try not to get too conspiracy theoried about this, but have you noticed that there's more and more AI generated content in like ads, like videos and things like that?
Yeah,
I have a couple. I have a couple theories about this. One, my theory is that Facebook, or I should be saying Meta, but you can get fucked. I'm going to call it Facebook. Facebook will penalize AI generated ads by increasing the CPMs, because its whole goal, it makes sense. Its whole goal is to connect humans. So I think it will penalize anyone using AI generated content in videos with higher CPMs. I think that makes sense as a business move for Facebook. And so what that means is all the business owners or businesses that don't have the balls to put their face on camera will get penalized a little bit. And then as there's more AI generated content out there, it's akin to, you know how you can tell when someone's reading off a script and it comes off like a little bit, it's like too perfect and you lose a little bit of trust because of it. It's like someone reading off the news and you don't trust the news, right? And so I know that will be the highest lever for businesses, is simply just getting on camera and talking about the offer without a script, just very genuine and imperfect is the key word there as well. Not teleprompter news perfect, and just pitching the offer, and that human connection is going to trump all the AI ads all over the long run.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit sick of AI, and I think the thing that pisses me off the most is the AI videos or pictures that people comment and say, "What a lovely video," and it's like, are you fucking messing? I mean, my dad sends me videos sometimes of like phoenixes rising from the flames of a burning, and I'm like, that's not real. He's like, is it not? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, it's burning my head out, all the AI stuff. Listen, Brandon, before we let you go, last question we always ask everybody is the same. You're in a coffee shop, maybe the one that you mentioned that's over the road. You're in the queue waiting for the brew, and there's a young gentleman in front of you who tells you it's his first day in sales today. What's the best advice you can give him in the time it takes the barista to make that coffee, mate?
Just follow the process, because in sales, you're going to get caught up in your feelings quite a lot. You want to be able to fall back on numbers and processes. And Tim's best advice has always been he just tries to do the next step in the process. You do the same thing that has historically worked over a long enough time horizon, it has to average out.
I think Chris will love that. One of Chris's favorite sayings is the next best thing we can do right now is, and then he does the next step in his sales process. Brandon, I'm going to go to Chris in a second, get his key takeaways from our chat. Before we do, you want to share again, where can people find you? What's the website? What's your phone number? What's your address? What's your PIN number off your cash card? Anything you want to go?
Just go to wayou.com.au. But if you're a business owner in Australia, there's a fucking solid chance every single time you open Instagram, I'm there in an ad swearing at you. So don't worry, I'll find you.
I like how mildly threatening that was, Brandon. I've learned a certain set of skills over the last year.
To whom it will concern.
Brandon, top takeaways for me really we didn't really go into it that much, and we should have done. So you'll have to come back on with this confusion. Stop sales. Just stop giving everybody everything because they just don't need it. The last time I bought a car, I knew very little about that car. Like I knew the bits that I needed to know, and it's complicated.
That's me when I bought my car.
Yeah, it's a complicated machine. I'm sure they could have told me loads about it, but they didn't. They just saw that I was an absolute punter. So they showed me it was like big and shiny, and I bought it. And this whole follower process, I know a lot of people talk about this, but that if you've had a really good success in sales on a particular sale, but it didn't follow a process, you can't repeat it.
Yeah,
like exactly. It was just that sequence happened to work that time. Yeah. If you can get your process right, you don't have to be that good a sales professional.
Yep.
Formulas form fortunes. Stick to that.
Yeah.
And this laissez-faire go and empty your bank account, go and spend it so you're on zero again. I think that's quite a healthy approach to money matters. I think. Like kids, if you're about to go off to college or uni or something, you're listening to this, ignore your parents. Just empty your bank.
I spent all my fucking money in Thailand in October, and then I got rich when we got back because I had no other fucking option.
Burning bridges. Great plan.
Boy math.
Yeah. This is why we're not number one on the podcast charts. Brandon, absolute pleasure, pal. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Chris.
Brandon, thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. If you want to find out some more about the Sales Dojo, it's www.thesalesdojo.com. And Chris is available at 6thstore.com. We've just connected with Brandon on LinkedIn as well, and Chris and I post on there quite regular. So if you want to search for us on there, I'm sure you will find us, maybe with less expletives. Have a great day.